Hey everybody, I'm going to demo the fourth major release of Mesh Align Plus for Blender. If you need more info, check the links below. But for those of you who aren't familiar with the add-on, it's basically a tool that helps you move things around in Blender in really precise ways. And the way that you do that, generally, is you're going to go over here to the Add-ons tab. You're going to pick one of these basic operators here, like quick axis rotate, for instance. You're going to pick some sort of reference, like this line here, and you're going to apply to whatever your target is. And in this case, I'm going to apply to the object because I want to move the entire object. So let's do another example. Let's say that you want to align this flat face on this wedge object to this other flat face. And the way that you do that is you're going to go to Quick Align Planes, because that's what you use when you want to stick surfaces together. I'm going to go over here to my destination, grab 3 verts, and hit Grab Destination. I'm going to go to my source, I'm going to pick 3 verts, and I'm going to hit Grab Source. Then I'm going to hit Apply to Object. And you can see now that those faces are aligned to each other. And what that's actually doing is we're not actually aligning edges to edges or verts to verts or anything like that. We're actually just picking sets of locations. So we're picking 3 locations that define a plane as the destination. We're picking another 3 locations that define a source, and then we're aligning those locations to each other. And the reason that's important is because these locations, once you grab them, aren't tied to any specific object. So for instance, I can grab these 3 locations here as my source, and I can apply that to this object. But because they're only locations and they're not actual verts or anything, I can also use those same set of 3 locations to apply to this object or to this object. And as you can see, what that's doing is it lets you maintain the relative positioning of unrelated objects. So now we've kind of applied an operator to an object, like we've moved an entire object around using one of these operators. But I said earlier that you can apply your operator to whatever your target is. So let's say, for instance, I'm going to tell you about the other ways that you can apply operators. And let's say that let's say, for instance, that I have this top part here, for instance. And again, we want to do the same kind of operation where we want to align this face to this other face. And the process is pretty similar. So we already defined a destination earlier, so I'm going to leave that the same. It's going to be this 3 verts over here. But the source is going to be a little different. So we're going to pick 3 verts as normal by hitting Grab Source with those selected. But now we're going to instead select whatever we want to move in edit mode. So we're going to select these verts, and then we're going to make sure this is checked and hit Apply to Mesh Piece. And that's going to move only the selected verts in edit mode. And this is useful during the modeling process while you're kind of constructing a model. So the last way you can apply an operator is to a whole mesh. And that's going to look pretty similar to applying to a whole object. The only difference is going to be that when you apply to a whole mesh, the object origin stays where it was. So to kind of show you again, here's applying to an object where the object origin moves, and here's applying to a whole mesh where the object origin stays where it was originally. And that just moves all of the selected and unselected verts is what that does. Another thing I can show you is Autograb source. So what that does is it's a checkbox up here. So if you check this checkbox, Autograb source, it takes out one of the steps in the process. So all I have to do is I can select 3 verts, I can hit apply to object, and I don't have to actually hit the grab button. So if I have Autograb source selected, what it will do is it will, when I hit the apply button, it will automatically grab whatever I have selected in edit mode. And you can do this as many times as you need to. It works based on whatever you have selected on the active object when you hit apply. Another thing I can tell you about is the geometry editors. So let's say that I have a cone. Say I have this cone object here. And then let's say I have this wedge object again. And let's say that what we want to do is we want to align this object so that this edge is in line with the line made by these 2 points here. So we want to line up this edge between these 2 points. So the way that's going to work is we're going to go to Quick Align Lines, and then for the destination, this is where we're going to use a geometry editor. So lets you do some fancy things like this, where we're going to expand the destination, and this is going to show you the coordinates for the start and end points of your line, and a bunch of other settings and modifiers you can apply to kind of change the properties of it after you grab it. But what I'm going to do here is for the line start, I'm going to grab this vertex, and then for the line end, I'm going to grab this other vertex over here. Then for the source, kind of as normal, we're going to just select 2 verts, and we're going to hit grab source. And then I'm just going to apply to the object. And now you can see that this edge is indeed aligned between these 2 points. So the last thing to talk about is using measurements and calculations from your scene in your transformations. And that's going to be things like the angle between lines, the distance between points, the intersection point between a line and a plane, for instance. And you can use all those things down here in the Calculate and Compose panel. But because the video is getting kind of long, I'm going to leave that for the next video. So that's all the basics. If you have comments, questions, or suggestions, you can leave those below the video, or if you want to follow active development, you can get on blenderartists.org and join the forum thread. Thanks.